You can't love yourself by repeating affirmations in the mirror. You love yourself when you stop abandoning yourself in moments of doubt. You love yourself when you sit with your pain instead of running from it. You love yourself when you choose patience over punishment, stillness over escape, awareness over avoidance. Real self-love isn't loud, it's quiet. It's choosing not to chase people who drain you. It's forgiving yourself for the years you tried to be someone else. It's learning to breathe through the noise instead of breaking under it. In Buddhism, love for the self is not ego, it's enlightenment. Because when you truly understand yourself, you stop fighting who you are. You stop searching for peace in others. You become peace itself. So today, we're not talking about surface-level self-care. We're talking about deep spiritual healing, the kind that transforms how you live, think, and breathe. These are 10 mindful Buddhist habits to help you love yourself from the inside out and become truly unstoppable. 1. Speak to yourself as you would to a loved one. Your thoughts are seeds. Whatever you water grows. Every thought you repeat to yourself shapes how you feel, how you act, and ultimately who you become. If you keep watering thoughts of fear, doubt, and self-criticism, they will grow into anxiety, insecurity, and pain. But if you water thoughts of love, patience, and understanding, they will bloom into confidence, peace, and compassion. Most of us are kind to others but cruel to ourselves. We forgive people when they make mistakes. We encourage them when they fall, and we comfort them when they feel lost. Yet when it comes to our own hearts, we become our harshest judges. We say things to ourselves that we would never say to someone we love. I'm not good enough. I'm a failure. I'll never change. These words may seem harmless, but over time they become heavy chains that keep us from growing. Buddhism teaches that compassion must begin within. You cannot truly love or care for others if you have not yet learned how to love and care for yourself. Speaking to yourself kindly does not mean ignoring your flaws or pretending to be perfect. It means accepting yourself fully with all your imperfections while still choosing to treat yourself gently. When you make a mistake, instead of attacking yourself, try saying, "I'm human and I'm learning." When you fail, remind yourself, failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of it. When you feel like giving up, whisper, "I'm doing my best, and that's enough for today." These simple affirmations reprogram your inner dialogue. They teach your mind to support your growth instead of sabotaging it. In Buddhist mindfulness practice, every thought is observed like a cloud passing across the sky. You learn to see your thoughts without judgment, not as absolute truths, but as passing patterns of energy. When a negative thought appears, you don't have to believe it or fight it. You simply recognize it, breathe, and let it go. Then you gently replace it with something kinder, something rooted in love. Over time, this practice transforms the relationship you have with yourself. You begin to feel lighter, calmer, more centered. Your inner critic loses power, and your inner guide becomes stronger. The harsh voice that once told you you're not enough slowly fades, replaced by a softer, wiser one that reminds you that you already are. Remember, the way you speak to yourself sets the tone for how you live your life. If you fill your mind with kindness, your actions will reflect that kindness. If you nurture your heart with understanding, you will naturally radiate that peace to others. Healing begins when you stop hurting yourself with your own words and start speaking to yourself like someone you deeply love, because you deserve the same compassion you so easily give to everyone else. 2. Spend time alone to know yourself better. Solitude is not loneliness, it's sacred space. In a world filled with constant noise, notifications, and endless distractions, spending time alone is one of the most healing and necessary acts of self-care. It's in silence that you finally hear your own voice, the one that gets buried under the expectations of others, the one that whispers truths when the world is shouting lies. When you allow yourself moments of solitude, you start to see your thoughts, emotions, and desires more clearly. You begin to understand what brings you peace and what drains your spirit. Buddhism teaches that self-standing is the root of wisdom. To know yourself is to know your mind, and to know your mind is to understand life itself. At first, being alone might feel uncomfortable. The silence can seem too loud, your thoughts too heavy. But that discomfort is the very beginning of awareness. Sit with it, breathe through it. You'll start to notice that beneath the noise there is a calm, a still lake within you that has always been there. In that quiet space, you'll reconnect with who you truly are, not who the world has told you to be. You don't need to escape to a monastery to experience solitude. Even 10 minutes of mindful silence each day can transform your energy. Turn off your phone, sit by the window, or take a slow walk in nature. Watch your breath, feel your heartbeat, and allow your thoughts to drift by like clouds in the sky. The goal is not to escape your mind, but to become friends with it. Through solitude, you discover your patterns, the way you react to pain, the fears that hold you back, and the dreams that keep resurfacing no matter how often you ignore them. This awareness gives you the power to make conscious choices instead of repeating old habits. You stop being controlled by the outside world and start living from your inner truth. When you enjoy your own company, you stop seeking validation from others. You no longer fear being alone because you realize you are whole by yourself. That wholeness gives birth to confidence, peace, and freedom. It's what Buddhists call being present with the self. So take time every day to be with yourself. No masks, no distractions, no noise. Just you, your breath, and the quiet wisdom of your own heart. The more you know yourself, the less power the world has to shake you. And in that sacred solitude, you'll discover that peace was never something to find. It was always something to return to. 3. Set boundaries without guilt. In the teachings of Buddhism, compassion is not about allowing yourself to be consumed by the needs and emotions of others. It's about finding balance between giving and protecting your own peace. Setting boundaries is not selfish. It's an act of love, both for yourself and for those around you. Yet so many of us struggle with guilt when we say no. We fear that we'll disappoint others, seem unkind, or lose connection. But the truth is, without healthy boundaries, we lose connection with ourselves first. Boundaries are the invisible lines that define where your energy ends and someone else's begins. They protect your emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. Without them, you begin to absorb everyone's worries, opinions, and problems as if they were your own. You give until you're empty, say yes when you mean no, and slowly your light starts to dim. In Buddhism, this imbalance is known as dukkha, unnecessary suffering caused by attachment and the inability to let go. Setting boundaries means learning to listen to your own energy. Pay attention to how your body feels when someone asks you for something. Do you feel heavy, anxious, or drained? Or do you feel open and calm? Your energy never lies. When something feels forced, it's usually a sign that your boundary is being crossed. When something feels peaceful, it's aligned with your truth. The Buddha taught the middle way, the path between extremes. You don't need to close your heart to protect it, nor do you need to leave it wide open for anyone to enter. You can keep it open with mindfulness and choose who and what you allow inside. It's not about shutting people out. It's about choosing who gets access to your time, your peace, and your emotions. When you begin to set boundaries, some people may not understand, especially those who benefited from your lack of them. They might call you distant, cold, or selfish. But remember, protecting your energy is not rejection. It's self-respect. Every time you say no to something that drains you, you are saying yes to something that nourishes you. Here's something to reflect on. In Buddhism, compassion is a circle that must include you. If you give endlessly without replenishing your own heart, your giving becomes resentment. But when you care for yourself first, your compassion becomes pure, strong, and boundless. You cannot pour tea from an empty cup. Your love needs refilling. 2. Setting boundaries is a spiritual practice. It requires awareness, patience, and courage. It teaches you to trust your intuition and honor your needs without apology. Begin small. Say no to a commitment that overwhelms you. Take time to rest when your body asks for it, or distance yourself from conversations that fill you with negativity. With every small act of self-respect, your peace expands. And over time, you'll notice something powerful. The more you respect your boundaries, the more others begin to respect them too. Your calmness becomes your protection. Your silence becomes your strength. You no longer chase after people or explanations. You simply exist in quiet balance. So set boundaries without guilt. Protect your peace the way a monk protects his morning silence, not out of fear, but out of love for what is sacred. You are not here to please everyone. You are here to live truthfully, compassionately, and mindfully. And that begins the moment you stop feeling guilty for choosing yourself. 4. Start your mornings with intention. The way you begin your morning shapes the rhythm of your entire day. In Buddhism, the first moments after waking are sacred. They are the bridge between stillness and action, silence and movement. If you begin your day in a rush, your mind stays scattered. But if you begin it with awareness, your mind becomes steady like a calm lake. That's why starting your morning with intention is not just a habit, it's a spiritual practice. When you wake up, before you reach for your phone or think about your to-do list, pause. Feel your breath. Notice the gentle rise and fall of your chest. Acknowledge that this breath is a gift, that life has given you another day to grow, to love, to learn. Buddhists believe that gratitude in the first moment of the morning plants seeds of peace for the entire day. When your first thought is appreciation, your whole energy shifts from restlessness to balance. You don't have to meditate for hours or perform rituals. A mindful morning begins with simplicity. You can light a candle, say a prayer, sit in silence for 5 minutes, or repeat a loving affirmation like, "Today I will walk gently," or "Today I choose peace over chaos." This small act of intention is like tuning a musical instrument before a performance. It helps align your inner rhythm with harmony instead of noise. Most people wake up and immediately dive into distraction, checking messages, scrolling through social media, or worrying about the day ahead. But the Buddha taught that the mind takes the shape of what it dwells upon. When you feed your mind chaos first thing in the morning, it will mirror that chaos back to you all day. But if you start your morning with presence, your actions throughout the day will reflect that same calm awareness. Mindfulness in the morning is not about adding more to your routine. It's about doing less, but doing it with intention. When you wash your face, feel the cool water on your skin. When you make tea, notice the warmth in your hands. When you eat breakfast, eat slowly, tasting each bite as if it were your first. Every small act done with awareness becomes a meditation. The key is to be fully here in whatever you are doing. Setting intentions doesn't mean controlling the day's outcome. It means guiding your mind toward clarity and compassion no matter what the day brings. You might say to yourself, "Today, I will be patient, even if challenges come." Or, "Today, I will listen more than I speak." These quiet promises become anchors that keep you grounded when life begins to move fast. And if your morning doesn't go perfectly, if you wake up late, spill your tea, or feel anxious, don't judge yourself. Return to your breath. Every inhale is a chance to begin again. That's the beauty of mindfulness. You are never too late to start over. The present moment is always waiting to welcome you back. In many Buddhist temples, monks begin their day before sunrise. They meditate, chant, and walk in silence. Their mornings are not rushed because they understand that how you greet the morning determines how you greet life itself. You may not live in a monastery, but you can bring that same energy into your own mornings. Even 5 minutes of mindful awareness can transform the energy of your entire day. Imagine waking up tomorrow with intention, not reacting but choosing, not rushing but flowing, not worrying but trusting. That single shift changes everything. You'll notice that people's words don't shake you as easily, that small inconveniences no longer steal your peace, because your day began from within, not from the noise outside. So tomorrow morning, before the world asks for your attention, give it to yourself first. Sit in stillness. Set one loving intention. Let your breath guide you back to gratitude, and remember, how you start your morning is how you start your life, moment by moment, choice by choice, with mindfulness as your compass. 5. Celebrate small wins. In Buddhism, happiness is not something you chase. It's something you awaken within yourself by learning to appreciate the present moment. Celebrating small wins is a gentle yet powerful way of practicing this truth. It's about recognizing that peace and fulfillment are not waiting at the end of some distant goal. They are hidden in the tiny victories of every single day. Most people spend their lives chasing grand achievements. They postpone joy until they get the promotion, the relationship, the house, or the approval they're waiting for. But the Buddha taught that clinging to future outcomes only breeds suffering because it blinds us to the beauty of the here and now. You don't need to climb a mountain to feel successful. Sometimes success is simply getting out of bed when you didn't feel like it, taking a deep breath instead of reacting in anger, or choosing kindness when your heart felt heavy. When you celebrate small wins, you reprogram your mind to see progress instead of failure. Every act of mindfulness, no matter how small, is a step toward awakening. Maybe you meditated for 5 minutes today. Maybe you smiled at a stranger. Or maybe you simply forgave yourself for something that happened yesterday. These are not minor things. They are signs that you are healing, growing, and learning to live with awareness. In Buddhist philosophy, life is made up of moments, not milestones. Waiting for one big moment to feel happy means you miss the 1,000 small moments already filled with joy. Think about it. A tree doesn't grow overnight. It grows quietly, day by day, reaching toward the sunday. It celebrates each drop of rain, each breath of wind, each ray of light that helps it grow. In the same way, you must honor your journey, one small step at a time. When you recognize and appreciate your daily progress, you begin to move with gratitude instead of pressure. Gratitude expands your awareness and transforms ordinary routines into sacred experiences. Washing the dishes becomes a form of mindfulness. Completing a simple task becomes a quiet victory. You start to realize that life isn't measured by how much you achieve, but by how deeply you appreciate every moment along the way. This doesn't mean you stop striving for growth. It means you start valuing the journey as much as the destination. When you pause to acknowledge your small wins, you build self-respect. You remind yourself that you are capable, that effort matters, and that progress doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers, and in those whispers you find real peace. So before you sleep each night, reflect on 3 small things you did right today. Maybe you took care of your body, spoke kindly to yourself, or practiced patience in a difficult situation. Thank yourself for showing up even when it wasn't easy. This simple ritual shifts your focus from what's missing to what's present, from lack to abundance. Remember, enlightenment is not a sudden explosion. It's a slow, steady unfolding of awareness. Each mindful breath, each gentle act, each small victory builds the foundation of inner strength. Celebrate these moments not because they are perfect, but because they are real. Every sunrise you witness, every time you choose peace over chaos, every small step forward, that is life's quiet way of saying you are becoming who you were meant to be. 6. Stop comparing yourself. Comparison is one of the greatest thieves of peace. It silently creeps into your mind, making you believe that your life should look like someone else's, that you're not doing enough, not successful enough, not beautiful enough. It's a subtle poison that disconnects you from gratitude and blinds you to the miracle of your own journey. In Buddhism, this restless state of comparison is called tanha, or craving, the endless desire for what we do not have. It keeps us trapped in suffering because we're always looking outward instead of inward. When you compare yourself to others, you're measuring 2 completely different paths as if they were the same road. But no 2 beings share the same karma, experiences, or timing. The lotus flower blooms only when the season is right, not before, not after. If you force it to open early, it will die. If you judge it for blooming later than another, you'll miss its beauty entirely. In the same way, your growth cannot be rushed or compared. You are unfolding exactly as you should, at your own divine pace. The Buddha taught that suffering arises from attachment, and comparison is just another form of attachment. You attach yourself to someone else's story, their success, their image, their achievements, and you forget your own. The mind begins to whisper, "They are ahead of me," or "They're happier than I am." But these are illusions. You are not behind. You are simply on a different timeline. Life is not a race. It's a journey of awakening. When you spend your energy comparing, you drain the power you could be using to grow. Instead of blooming in your garden, you stand outside someone else's fence, wondering why their flowers look brighter. But remember, you don't see their soil, the struggles, the storms, the failures that help them grow. You only see the petals. Every soul carries its own lessons, and every person you envy is also fighting a battle you cannot see. So how do you let go of comparison? By turning inward. Whenever you catch yourself looking at someone else's path, pause and bring your awareness back to your own. Ask yourself, what can I be grateful for right now? Gratitude is the antidote to envy. When you start appreciating what you have, the need to compare fades naturally. Mindfulness also teaches us to stay in the present moment. Comparison lives in illusion. It's always about someone else or somewhere else. But the present moment asks for nothing more than your attention. When you are fully present, feeling your breath, noticing your heartbeat, hearing the world around you, there is no space for envy, only peace. Another Buddhist practice that helps dissolve comparison is mudda, the cultivation of sympathetic joy. It means feeling genuine happiness for the success and happiness of others. When you see someone thriving, instead of letting jealousy rise, you silently say, "May they continue to be happy. May I also find my path to peace." This shifts your heart from competition to compassion. And in that shift, your energy becomes lighter. Your mind becomes free. Remember, the sun doesn't compete with the moon. Each shines in its own time. In the same way, you have your own season, your own rhythm, your own light. Stop dimming it by comparing it to someone else's glow. The moment you stop comparing, you begin to see yourself clearly, not as less, not as more, but as enough. When you stop comparing, your energy returns to where it belongs, to you. You begin to move with calm confidence, free from the burden of needing to prove anything. Your heart becomes content with progress instead of perfection. You start to celebrate your journey, no matter how small the steps. So the next time you find yourself scrolling through someone else's highlight reel or feeling like you're falling behind, remember this. There is no behind in a path that is uniquely yours. Every step you take, every challenge you face, every lesson you learn, they are shaping the person you are meant to become. The Buddha once said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." The moment you stop measuring your worth against others, you begin to touch that peace. You start to see that your journey, with all its flaws and pauses, is sacred. You begin to breathe easier, love deeper, and live more freely. Because the truth is, the only person you ever need to be better than is the person you were yesterday. And the moment you realize that, comparison dissolves, and contentment takes its place like sunlight breaking through a storm. 7. Take care of your body. In Buddhism, the body is not seen as separate from the mind or the spirit. It is the vessel that carries your consciousness through this lifetime. To care for it is not vanity, it is mindfulness. The Buddha taught the principle of the middle way, the path between indulgence and deprivation. This wisdom reminds us that neither neglecting nor obsessing over the body leads to balance. True harmony arises when you treat your body with gentle awareness, respect, and gratitude. Many people treat their bodies like machines, pushing them past exhaustion, feeding them without awareness, ignoring their signals of pain or fatigue. But your body is not a machine. It is a living temple. Every cell, every heartbeat, every breath is a reminder that life is flowing through you. When you slow down and care for this body, you are not just nurturing flesh and bone. You are honoring the sacred energy that sustains your existence. Begin by paying attention to what your body is telling you. Notice how it reacts when you eat certain foods, when you move, when you rest, when you stress. Your body speaks softly, but if you ignore it long enough, it begins to scream. Listening to it is a form of mindfulness. It teaches you presence. If your body asks for rest, give it rest. If it craves movement, stretch, walk, or breathe deeply. If it feels tense, pause and release the weight you're carrying. In Buddhist monasteries, monks eat mindfully. They do not rush through their meals or consume food while distracted. Each bite is eaten in silence, with awareness of where it came from, how it nourishes, and what it offers. You can practice this same reverence in your daily life. Before you eat, take a moment to look at your food. Acknowledge the sun, rain, and earth that made it possible. Express gratitude before you take your first bite. This simple act transforms eating from a routine into a meditation. Movement, too, is sacred. You do not need to lift heavy weights or run marathons to honor your body. You just need to move with awareness. Whether it's yoga, walking, or simple breathing exercises, let every movement be an expression of gratitude for your body's strength and flexibility. Move not to change how you look, but to celebrate that you are alive. When you treat movement as meditation, you begin to feel every step, every stretch, every breath as a connection between your body and the earth beneath you. Taking care of your body also means letting go of judgment about how it looks. The modern world constantly tries to convince us that our worth depends on our appearance. But Buddhism teaches that attachment to form creates suffering. Your body does not need to be perfect. It needs to be respected. Scars, wrinkles, and imperfections are not flaws. They are stories written by time. Proof that you have lived, loved, and grown. Instead of criticizing your body, thank it for everything it has carried you through. Rest is another form of self-love that is often overlooked. When you rest mindfully, you allow your body to repair and your mind to reset. You do not need to earn your rest. You deserve it simply because you are human. The Buddha himself emphasized moderation to live wisely. One must balance effort with ease. Without rest, even the most spiritual practice loses depth, so give yourself permission to pause, to breathe, to do nothing without guilt. The more you honor your body, the more peace you will feel within your mind. When your body is cared for, your thoughts become clearer, your emotions become lighter, and your awareness deepens. Your physical health becomes a reflection of your inner harmony. This is why Buddhism encourages mindful living, because when body and mind are aligned, your entire being moves in flow with the universe. To take care of your body is to practice gratitude in motion. You begin to see eating as a blessing, movement as joy, and rest as healing. You no longer live in conflict with your body, you live in partnership with it. It becomes your teacher, showing you when to slow down, when to push forward, and when to simply be. So the next time you look in the mirror, don't rush to find faults. Place your hand on your heart and say, "Thank you." Thank your legs for carrying you, your lungs for breathing, your heart for beating without pause. Your body is not your enemy. It's your companion on this spiritual path. Take care of it not because you have to, but because you get to. Because every moment you nourish, rest, and move this body mindfully, you are honoring the gift of being alive. And when you live in that awareness, every heartbeat becomes a silent prayer, a reminder that this body, this breath, this life is sacred. 8. Let go of people who drain you. In Buddhism, attachment is seen as the root of suffering, not because love is wrong, but because clinging blinds us to truth. The Buddha taught that everything in life is impermanent, including relationships. Yet, so many of us hold tightly to people who have long stopped walking beside us in peace. We keep trying to fix, please, or chase those who only take our energy, leaving us emotionally and spiritually exhausted. Letting go of people who drain you is not cruelty. It is an act of deep compassion for yourself and even for them. When your energy feels constantly depleted around someone, that's your soul whispering a warning. It's saying this connection no longer nurtures growth. But often we ignore these whispers out of fear of being alone, fear of conflict, fear of guilt. Buddhism reminds us that fear is born from attachment. We hold on because we confuse love with dependency, thinking that walking away means failure. But letting go does not mean you've stopped loving someone. It means you've stopped abandoning yourself for them. Not every person who enters your life is meant to stay. Some come to teach, some to challenge, some to awaken parts of you that you didn't know existed. But once their purpose is complete, holding on only leads to pain. It's like carrying a flower that has already wilted. The beauty is gone, yet we clutch it, unwilling to release what once was. True wisdom lies in recognizing when something has served its purpose and gracefully allowing it to fade. Letting go of draining people begins with awareness. Notice how you feel after spending time with someone. Are you lighter or heavier, peaceful or restless, seen or invisible? The body always tells the truth. When you constantly feel anxious, used, or diminished in someone's presence, it's a sign that the relationship is no longer aligned with your peace. In Buddhism, such imbalance is called dukkha, the unease that comes when we resist the natural flow of life. You must remember, protecting your peace is not selfish, it's sacred. The Buddha never taught that compassion means allowing yourself to be hurt repeatedly. Compassion without wisdom becomes self-destruction. When you let go of people who drain you, you create space for those who uplift and nurture your soul. You allow kindness, not chaos, to shape your inner world. It's important to understand that you can release someone with anger or resentment. Letting go doesn't mean you wish them harm or erase them from your heart. It means you stop trying to pull energy from a well that has run dry. You bless them silently, thank them for the lessons they brought, and set them free in your mind. This release is not only for them, it's for you, so you can breathe again, dream again, and return to your center. Buddhist monks often practice mettabhana, or loving-kindness meditation, which includes extending compassion even toward those who have caused pain. In this meditation, you silently repeat, "May you be happy. May you be free from suffering. May you find peace." These words are not meant to reconcile with those who hurt you. They are meant to release you from bitterness. Because when you carry resentment, it's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to fall ill. Forgiveness, in this sense, is the ultimate act of freedom. Sometimes the hardest part of letting go is the silence that follows. You may feel empty, as if something has been taken away. But that emptiness is not loss. It is space. It is the quiet before new peace begins to grow. You will start to notice your energy returning, your thoughts becoming clearer, and your heart feeling lighter. You will realize that solitude with peace is far more nourishing than company with conflict. The Buddha once said, "An insincere and evil friend is more to be feared than a wild beast. A wild beast may wound your body, but an evil friend will wound your mind." The people you keep close shape the landscape of your spirit. Be mindful of who you allow into your sacred space. Surround yourself with those who respect your silence. Value your energy and bring calm instead of chaos. Letting go of people who drain you is not about building walls. It's about opening the gates to peace. It's realizing that you are not responsible for fixing others at the cost of breaking yourself. You can wish them well and still walk away. You can love from afar and still choose distance. In truth, letting go is one of the highest forms of love because it allows both souls to grow freely without attachment, without force, without suffering. So take a deep breath and release what no longer serves your peace. Trust that by letting go, you are not losing. You are making space. Space for healing, space for growth, space for people who will meet you with the same love and calm that you have spent years trying to give. And one day, when you look back, you'll realize that letting go was not an ending. It was the beginning of your true freedom. 9. Forgive yourself. In Buddhism, forgiveness is not about erasing the past. It's about releasing the suffering that the past continues to cause. So many people walk through life carrying invisible weights on their backs. Guilt, shame, regret, and self-blame. They replay old mistakes in their minds, punishing themselves over and over for moments that are already gone. But the truth is, you cannot walk the path to peace while dragging the ghosts of yesterday behind you. To forgive yourself is to return to the present, the only place where healing truly exists. The Buddha taught that every being is imperfect and constantly changing. To expect yourself never to make mistakes is to deny your own humanity. Life is not meant to be lived flawlessly. It is meant to be lived mindfully. Each misstep, each poor decision, each hurtful moment is a lesson from life itself, an opportunity to awaken. When you view your mistakes through the eyes of awareness instead of judgment, you begin to see that nothing you've been through was wasted. Every wound was a teacher. Every fall was a step toward understanding. But we often hold on to guilt as if it makes us moral. We think that by constantly feeling bad, we're proving that we care. Yet Buddhism reminds us that guilt serves no purpose beyond keeping us stuck. It is not punishment that purifies you. It is awareness. It is not shame that transforms you. It is understanding. When you see your actions clearly without denial, but also without hatred, you begin to cultivate wisdom. And wisdom is what ends suffering. Forgiving yourself doesn't mean pretending that what you did was right. It means accepting that you were acting from the level of awareness you had at that time. You may have spoken harshly because you were in pain. You may have made poor choices because you were lost. You may have hurt others because you didn't yet know how to love yourself. Understanding this doesn't excuse your actions, but it allows you to see them with compassion instead of condemnation. One of the most powerful Buddhist practices for self-forgiveness is metta, or loving-kindness meditation. As you sit quietly, you repeat to yourself, "May I be at peace. May I be free from guilt. May I learn from my mistakes. May I forgive myself and grow." Each repetition softens the edges of your heart. The anger you've turned inward begins to melt. You realize that the person who needs your forgiveness the most is not your past self, but the present one who is still carrying the pain. Think about this. If a friend came to you with tears in their eyes, confessing their mistakes, would you punish them forever? No. You'd hold their hand, comfort them, and tell them that they are human. Why then do you deny yourself that same mercy? Self-forgiveness is not weakness. It is courage. It takes strength to look at yourself honestly, to face the pain, and to say, "I will no longer let this define me." In Buddhist teachings, everything is impermanent in nature. This means that the person you were in the past no longer exists. You are not that version of yourself anymore. You are the one who survived, who learned, who is here now seeking peace. Every breath you take is a new chance to begin again. When you cling to guilt, you're trying to live in a moment that no longer exists. When you forgive, you return home to now, to life, to freedom, to truth. Sometimes self-forgiveness requires action. If your actions hurt someone, try to make amends with humility. But if reconciliation isn't possible, then make peace through intention. Send love silently to the one you wronged. Wish them healing, and then extend the same wish to yourself. The act of sincere repentance transforms guilt into growth. It's also important to forgive yourself for the things beyond your control, the relationships that didn't work, the opportunities you missed, the times you didn't have the strength to do better. You did what you could with the awareness you had. Blaming yourself endlessly only deepens suffering. The Buddha said, "You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." Remember this when your mind tries to drag you into self-punishment. Forgiveness doesn't erase your past, but it changes the meaning of it. It turns wounds into wisdom, pain into compassion, and mistakes into teachers. The moment you forgive yourself, you begin to see the beauty of your own evolution, how far you've come, how much you've learned, and how deeply you've grown. You no longer see your scars as evidence of failure, but as proof of your resilience. So today, take a deep breath and let yourself be free. Whisper softly, "I forgive myself for who I was. I accept who I am. I am becoming who I am meant to be." Feel the weight begin to lift from your heart. Feel the peace that comes when you no longer resist your own humanity. Forgive yourself, not because you've forgotten the past, but because you're ready to live again. When you release guilt, you make room for love. When you let go of shame, you make room for light. And when you finally forgive yourself, you open the door to the purest form of freedom, the freedom to begin again, fully awake, fully alive, and completely at peace. 10. Do things that make your soul happy. In Buddhism, joy is not something you chase, it's something you cultivate. It doesn't come from possessions, status, or recognition. It arises naturally when you live in harmony with your true self. Yet, many people spend their lives suppressing what brings them joy, thinking they need permission to feel happy. They sacrifice their inner peace for approval and their passions for practicality. But the Buddha taught that happiness is not selfish, it's sacred. When you do the things that make your soul happy, you are honoring the divine energy that flows through you. Every soul is born with a natural rhythm, a unique melody that makes it feel alive. But as we grow, that melody often becomes buried under noise, the expectations of society, the opinions of others, the endless shoulds that shape our days. Slowly, we forget what joy feels like. We confuse productivity with purpose, success with peace, and validation with happiness. That's why one of the most powerful forms of spiritual self-care is returning to what makes your heart light up, to the activities, spaces, and moments that remind you who you are beneath all the noise. Doing things that make your soul happy doesn't have to mean grand gestures. It's not about escaping life, but about being fully present in it. It could be as simple as watching the sunrise, listening to music that stirs your heart, painting, dancing, reading, or sitting in silence under a tree. What matters is not what you do, but how you do it, with awareness, gratitude, and love. When you engage in something that truly resonates with your spirit, time disappears. Your mind quiets, and you enter a state of effortless flow. In that moment, you are not chasing happiness. You are happiness. In Buddhism, this alignment is known as samma sankappa, or right intention. It means living in a way that nourishes rather than depletes your inner being. Too often people confuse pleasure with peace. They chase stimulation instead of serenity. But the joy that feeds the soul is different. It's not loud or temporary. It's soft, grounding, and deeply fulfilling. You'll know you found it when it feels like returning home to yourself. Ask yourself, what activities make me feel most alive, most connected, most at ease? It could be creating art, serving others, spending time in nature, or simply being quiet with your own thoughts. These are not distractions. They are forms of meditation. When you follow what brings you genuine joy, you are aligning with the flow of life itself. The Buddha called this sukha, true happiness that arises from inner contentment rather than outer circumstance. Doing what makes your soul happy also means allowing yourself to experience joy without guilt. Many people feel undeserving of peace. They believe they have to earn happiness by working harder, fixing themselves, or pleasing others. But joy is not a reward, it's your natural state. You were never meant to live in constant tension or self-denial. You were meant to dance, laugh, breathe, and experience the beauty of being alive. Joy doesn't ignore pain, it exists alongside it. It reminds you that even in suffering, there is light. When you make time for joy, you also become a source of light for others. The Buddha once said, "Thousands of candles can be lit from a single candle, and the life of the candle will not be shortened." Your happiness doesn't take away from the world, it adds to it. When you smile sincerely, when your heart feels full, when you live in alignment with your truth, you silently give permission for others to do the same. Joy is contagious in the most beautiful way. Think of your soul as a garden. Neglect it, and weeds of stress and fatigue begin to grow. But nurture it with what it loves: creativity, peace, laughter, connection, and it will flourish. Each joyful moment becomes sunlight for your spirit. Every act of self-expression becomes water for your growth. Happiness, then, is not something to achieve, but something to cultivate daily, one mindful moment at a time. If you ever feel guilty for choosing happiness, remember this: the Buddha smiled more than he spoke. His peace was not born from withdrawal, but from balance. True spirituality does not mean renouncing joy. It means embodying it fully, mindfully, and compassionately. Your happiness, when rooted in awareness, is not a distraction from your path. It is the path. So do things that make your soul happy. Paint, even if no one sees your art. Sing, even if your voice trembles. Sit by the sea, even if you have 1,000 tasks waiting. Give yourself permission to be alive, not just existing. Let joy become your meditation, your offering, your prayer. And remember, the more you follow what makes your soul happy, the more the universe responds in harmony. You attract peace because you have become peace. You radiate calm because you have chosen authenticity. The moments that make your heart glow are not small. They are sacred because in those moments, you are no longer trying to be someone. You are simply being free, whole, and beautifully alive. In the quiet teachings of Buddhism, loving yourself is not a selfish act. It is a sacred responsibility. It's the foundation upon which every other form of compassion, wisdom, and peace is built. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot share light if you keep dimming your own. The Buddha never asked us to reject ourselves in pursuit of enlightenment. He asked us to see ourselves clearly, to understand our suffering, and to treat that suffering with kindness. When you practice these 10 self-care Buddhist habits, when you speak to yourself with love, spend time in solitude, set boundaries, start your mornings with intention, celebrate small wins, stop comparing, take care of your body, release draining people, forgive yourself, and do what makes your soul happy, you begin to return to your true home, peace. This journey of self-love is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you already are beneath the layers of fear and judgment. Every moment of mindfulness peels away the noise, revealing the calm that was always within you. You begin to realize that happiness isn't something you chase, it's something you allow. When you stop fighting yourself, the universe stops feeling like an enemy. When you speak to yourself gently, life begins to mirror that gentleness back to you. The storms outside no longer shake you because the temple within you stands strong. So love yourself, not with arrogance, but with awareness. Care for your mind as you would a garden. Nourish your body as you would a sacred temple. And protect your peace as you would a candle in the wind. The more you honor yourself, the more your energy shifts from tension to tranquility, from self-doubt to self-trust, from striving to simply being. And when you finally learn to love yourself deeply, the world around you changes too. You start giving without fear, speaking without masks, and living without regret. You stop trying to find peace because you become peace. Remember this truth from the Buddha. You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe,